In today's second reading, Paul is describing the burden that is placed upon him by the gospel he is compelled to preach. Paul has had extraordinary revelations and has accomplished incredible things in his ministry. His experience of the risen Lord on the road to Damascus was the driving force that made him one of the most zealous, dynamic, and courageous ambassadors of Christ the church has ever had. But persecution, humiliation, and weakness became the cross, so to speak, that he had to bear in life. We don't know for certain what the thorn in the flesh was that Paul talks about, but it is believed that it may have been a continuing lesson in humility, that he could never really enjoy the success of his ministry. He couldn't congratulate himself. There was no glory. Instead, what he received was an abundance of sufferings, insults, hardships, prejudiced comments, and put-downs. Paul's opponents accuse him of being weak, having no proper credentials to even do this type of work. And sometimes those attacks went personal, saying that he was unimpressive in speaking, in his deeds, and even in his physical appearance. Paul counters these critics with a surprising twist. He knows that his gifts are pure grace, gifts from God that are given to him without merit. Paul has accomplished things in his ministry that he could never imagine that he could do because God worked through him, and he recognized that. So he trusts in the Lord. He has faith. Rather than defending himself to his critics by pointing out how great and worthy he is, he does just the opposite. He argues that, okay, these weaknesses must be then the very mark of my authenticity as an apostle. He admits that his unworthiness and powerlessness proves that it is God's grace and power that is working through him. He can't be doing this on his own. Paul writes, I will boast all the more gladly about my weaknesses so that Christ's power may be with me. I'm content with weaknesses, insults, hardships, in persecution and constraints. For when I am weak, then I am strong. When we rely on our own efforts and ambitions, then we too can be very weak. But when we rely on God, then we are strong. When we trust that God will work and is working through us, then wonderful things can happen. When we attempt things on our own without God, without faith, life is much more difficult. There are many thorns that afflict us. Just look at what has been accomplished in this parish during this past year. We have this brand new building attached to us right next door. One of the most common things that people will say is that they can't hardly believe this new building is actually here. Even when you walk into it, there's almost a surrealistic feeling that it's unreal. It's really amazing. How has this been done? I would say very simply, it has been because of your faith, the faith of the people of Mary, Mother of the Church Parish. I believe it is because you believed, you trusted that God would work through all of us as a parish family and make wonderful things happen. When you individually made the personal financial sacrifices needed to accomplish this, I believe you trusted that God would somehow make you whole and would take care of you and your family's needs. And really, as I've talked to several people, that has been kind of a common experience. And indeed, that has happened. People have made comments like, well, I've been getting along okay for these last couple of years. This is great. You have believed in God, in his son Jesus, and in Mary, our mother. You have been faithful in prayer because we recognize God's generosity among us, for we know that we did not accomplish this without him. It is clear in today's gospel that the people of God cannot be vital without faith. Jesus was not able to do much in the way of mighty deeds in his own hometown of Nazareth due to the lack of faith among the people. The power of God works in people's lives when there is faith. After Mass today, we're having an informal open house in the new building. Take a few minutes to walk through the new lower level religious education center and music room. Enjoy it. And as we walk through it together as one family with Mary as our mother, remember to give thanks and praise to God the Father. We have been blessed to see the power of God working in the life of this parish.